All right, guys.
Hello.
We are back again for episode 2.
We survived.
Yeah,
we survived episode 1.
We survived episode 1. Oh my god. So I am Pixel Mike.
Black Lotus Mike the Black Lotus.
And we are taking you on our digital quest. As we journey through different topics revolving around the gaming scene, the culture of it, also, dipping into some comics in that environment, as well as, our business ventures.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say for the comics things, we can comic books, comic movies, because that's forever going to be part of the stuff. So yeah, that's big too. But yeah, no, it's video games, comics, our ventures. There's definitely something for everyone here. It's something for everyone to take away.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so last on episode 1, we kind of, from a high level, talked about what this show is going to be about, and I think we kind of illustrated for those that listen. Hopefully, they enjoyed it for one, and we just want to bring a little bit of value to everybody. Hopefully they can take some of the things that we're experiencing in our own lives and, maybe be able to relate to it.
Right.
So, I mean,
we all got our own things going on, and we all want to succeed, especially in light of everything that's going on, the economy, and the American dream is not dead. So this is kind of, personally, I don't know about you, but this is personally this is a step closer to that. And this is me doing what I love, just talking about video games and comics and what I'm doing on the side. So it's this is great. And I'm sure you all, those of you who are already following us on our now multiple platforms, clearly you got something from us from episode 1. So thank you for those who have already tuned in and are tuning into this. And we hope we can continue to provide and give you a good time more than anything.
Yeah. I thoroughly enjoyed the first episode just because of the fact that it was more of just like a roundtable.
Yeah.
Or let's just say a fireside chat. That's some of the terms that I kind of come across in my IT field of nature.
Absolutely.
But yeah, like a fireside chat where you can just talk shop on whatever and not have to feel like you're obligated to meet anything. And honestly, we're just talking whatever the hell we feel like talking about.
Yeah. So
it's as stupid as we may be sometimes, but I mean, that's just the fun of it, getting to do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah. Yeah. No. So yeah, let's have fun. Let's get into it.
Yeah. So I guess the first topic, we can just dip into the gaming side of things. So I guess game releases, this 2024, 2025 game releases that are going to be coming out. What are we most excited for? I guess, what are you excited for, man? So
it's kind of crazy. We're only about halfway through 2024, and I feel like it's been a good year for gaming, and it's about to get a whole lot better. Kind of funny enough, the gaming company that's I'm kind of excited for their new releases is Konami, specifically Metal Gear Solid Delta and Silent Hill 2, the re-release. I've seen. For those who don't know, just a little bit of context, just cut me off at any point. Konami has been kind of on the hot seat since like 2012, maybe even a bit before that, but especially in 2012. They were supposed to release Silent Hills. It was supposed to be like this big, great game headed by the maker of Metal Gear Solid, Hideo Kojima. And to promote Silent Hills, Konami and PlayStation partnered up, and they released a demo called PT, which to this day is one of the best survival horror experiences I've ever had. And when they canceled Silent Hills, they fired Hideo Kojima and then took down PT from the PlayStation Network. Basically, all goodwill for Konami just kind of went out the door. But then slowly they started licensing out Silent Hill, Castlevania, Metal Gear Solid to other franchises. And now people are kind of like, they're starting to forgive Konami. And they're like, okay, so what's the next big thing you got? And I like what they're doing now, where instead of trying to add on to the mythoses, they're like, let's recreate what's already come out before, what people like, and let's show people we've learned from our mistakes, and now we're going to make it great. So that's where you get Metal Gear Solid Delta, which is a straight up remake. It's a recreation of the landmark game Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. And then you got Silent Hill 2, which is while very divisive, the fact that they skipped the first one and they went for a reboot of the second one, it's also kind of like, I, as a fan, am thinking, you guys got cojones. Good on you for going straight for the money shot, if you will. This is the one that we're all waiting for. So if you're going straight for that, that means you got balls, and I appreciate that. So I'm looking forward to Silent Hill 2, Metal Gear Solid Delta, and just smaller releases. There's a new MMO coming out called Dune: The Awakening. It's supposed to use the same aesthetic from Denis Villeneuve's most recent movies, and that's going to be tied into this new game. But it's going to be like an alternate reality where if Paul Atreides wasn't born, like how would that look like? So now you're the chosen one. So that's a very cool premise in of itself. So you got me interested with that. And then lastly, there's some re-releases of the Marvel versus Capcom fighting games, which that's just,
dude, that
you got to take before a ride.
Yeah, Marvel vs. Capcom is like my favorite fighting game, and specifically 2. I just remember back in the day, being in the arcade and playing that all of my Saturday mostly.
It's still so much fun.
Yeah, it still is, and that was the only fighting game that I ever really truly got like really good at.
Right.
Like learning the combos, and I think my set of characters that I played with, just going on a little side tangent with this, but
go for it.
So I used to pick Sakura, Ken, and Akuma. So I learned how to do this one combo to where it was basically unstoppable. If I catch you in it, there's no getting out of it. So I would start off with, I think it was Akuma or Ken. I think it was Ken. So I would do like his 3 uppercuts before his flame Shoryuken. And then next I will go in with Akuma and do his, I think it was the same thing, doing the same uppercut thing. And then with Sakura, the thing that was pretty unique with her is that you can turn to Dark Sakura.
Yeah.
And so she's basically like a replication of Akuma, right?
Right.
And so she actually has the Raging Demon move too.
Right.
And so like in the middle of all that, while you're blocking it, that's where I come in with Sakura if I had all the 3 bars, right? And she would dash into you, and there was like no escaping it because you're blocking.
Right.
And I would just snatch you and then just eliminate your character.
That's it. Did you ever get into those infinite combos? I've seen YouTube videos of that, and just looking at it, I'm like, this infuriates me. But if I can pull it off, I'm going to be the happiest guy on earth if I can pull it off.
No, I never. So I know there's some more intense players that can pull off stuff. Especially with I know a lot of people used to use the Sentinel. Oh my god, dude! Like fucking Sentinels are insane. They're annoying. They're more annoying than anything. And then also Iceman, even though he was a pretty simplistic character, but the thing that made him unique is that he could block damage and negate everything that he would take if you would block.
That I didn't know.
Rather than everybody else, if you block, they inch away your health, right? So for some reason, Iceman would throw up his little ice shield, and then it would just negate everything.
Yeah, and then so, I think his super. Correct me if I'm wrong. He kind of goes into like a Jesus like T pose, and then he just blasts ice from like every part of his body, right?
Yeah, he blasts his beautiful sparkles on you.
Yeah.
He's like,
Jesus. Yeah. So that's how I got to just delving a little bit more into your side tangent. With the exception of Resident Evil, I really didn't have any knowledge whatsoever of Capcom. I came in through because of like Wolverine, Spider-Man, you got Captain America, and my go-to 3, and to this day, if we were to play it right now, it would just be, Iron Man, Cable, and then Sabretooth. And then what I would do if there was a super, I like that thing where you can start one and then follow up with another and then follow up with another. And the thing about Cable, Iron Man, and Sabretooth, it was like they just shoot a beam of like energy towards you, and then it just goes on forever and ever and ever. So when the trailer came out for the remake collection, so it's not just 2, but it's also like there's like some Street Fighter games. There's like some I need to fact check that, but there's some Capcom games, some Marvel games, Marvel versus Capcom, all of them up to Capcom, not including 3, but all the ones leading up to 3. And then I think there's a Punisher game that came out, like a solo Punisher game.
Yeah, that's the one that came out on Genesis, I believe.
Yeah, like I've never played that. I didn't even know that existed, and it looks good, so I want to try that. So enough about me. What are you looking forward to, man?
Yeah. So the games that I'm looking forward to, I guess this should probably touch up on the. I'll touch up on Nintendo first.
Go for it.
So I know they had their Nintendo Direct, which was okay. No, I should say I was thinking of who was the one that just recently did theirs that was pretty crap. Oh, Capcom. Capcom did a pretty crappy release thing. Everybody was pissed off. They were just like, man, this is like the worst one.
This episode is obviously not sponsored by Capcom.
Yeah, Crapcom.
Oh no,
no, people are gonna be pissed.
Oh man, we could have gotten a free copy of the collection. God damn it.
No, I mean like.
No, but you speak your truth, man. Fuck them. Go for it.
Fuck them bitches.
Fuck them.
No, I mean,
Black Mike.
Stupid. Oh my god. So on the Nintendo side, they had quite a pretty good show. Some of the more memorable ones that I can remember were obviously Metroid. That was the big reveal at the very end.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was another, shoot, I can't even remember off the top of my head right now. But anyways,
I'll look it up.
Yeah. So while he looks that up, my biggest one, since I already mentioned it, was Metroid Prime 4, and I wouldn't say I'm like the biggest fan of Metroid. I'm learning the lore, right? The lore is pretty out there. It's almost like there's different timelines, if I'm not mistaken.
There probably is nowadays. Yeah. There's always a multiverse.
So apparently there's like it starts with the Metroid Prime series, I think, are early on the timeline. And okay. It's at least something that I was looking at last times here. Let me pull that up.
So it's Metroid. So obviously we're not holding you to. Go ahead. You
yeah.
But even though it's like Metroid Prime 4, it still takes place earlier in the timeline.
No, I think Metroid Prime 4 takes after.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it takes later. Like it actually continues it. No. Actually, it's not confirmed just yet.
Okay.
It's kind of up in the air.
No,
so like with Metroid Dread, I believe took place. It was a continuation of the storyline.
Gotcha.
Did you ever play that one?
I am in the middle of it. I need to finish it.
That one's really nice. That's a good game.
I love it. It's beautiful to look at.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the timeline here. So so it starts with Metroid, the first Metroid, and then it goes into Metroid 2: Return of Samus. Then it goes to Super Metroid. Then it goes to Metroid Other M, and then Metroid Fusion. So I guess now that I'm recollecting my thoughts on that, the Metroid Prime series is kind of fits somewhere, I think, in a different timeline. I could be speaking wrong, so anybody who has any insights on that, they can definitely shed some light on our.
Someone's typing right now. Well, actually,
yeah. Hey, I do it.
Do it. Fact check.
Yeah. No. Let me see.
I'm trying to find the one you're referring to. Like, do you know what it was? Or?
Oh, here it is. So it says Metroid story chronological order. So it's Metroid Zero Mission. Then you got Metroid Prime. Then you get Metroid Prime Hunters, Echoes, Metroid Prime Corruption, Metroid Prime Federation Force, and then you got Return of Samus, Super Metroid, Metroid Other M, and Metroid Fusion. So definitely like, I don't know, that seems like more of the accurate one. And obviously you got Dread, which is taking place after Metroid Fusion. So that's considered the continuation. And so
that's the present. Metroid
right.
Dread is like the present,
the current
and then
one.
Prime is like an aside, and or it must take place earlier in the timeline if it's part of the current timeline.
Right. Gotcha. So while it's not confirmed yet, and I don't feel comfortable speaking too much on the story, I mean, the most that I've gathered from it is that, I mean, people who have looked it up, that we're going to probably do some spoilers here, but so the race of Chozos, right? So they are that I found out they raised Samus Aran after playing and beating which is the one Zero Mission. I think that's the one I just beat recently. Yeah, Zero Mission. Because right now I'm on Return of Samus, and so when I play the end, because mostly you're wearing this suit that doesn't look familiar. I mean, obviously the two balls on her shoulder is like the kind of iconic one that everybody knows, right?
Right.
And so while you're playing Zero Mission, you're like, this is a different type of armor, but she still has the same helmet.
Right.
But as you go through the game, and then you start gathering all of her power-ups like usual, and then at the very end, that's where you get exposed to the suit, and then you're like, oh, so this is how it starts. And so now it's making a lot more sense. And the way that it fits in with the Chozo, I don't know if there's other games that I haven't played yet that really shed on the light of that, like how she even came to be part of that species, or like actually raised by that species. So I don't know, that's kind of where I get dropped off.
Gotcha.
And that's my edge right there. But all in all, that was the one I'm really excited for. And to speak more, I guess, on what I was gathering from that trailer, the graphics look freaking sweet.
Yeah,
like,
no, it looked really cool. I saw that I think they remastered or re-released Metroid Prime. What was it?
Just Prime 1.
Prime 1, right?
Yeah, on Switch.
Is that the FPS? That's the FPS Metroid one? I'm thinking about picking it up. It looks like
it's
so much
good.
Fun. I've played Metroids. I'm still in the middle of Dread, and I enjoy them all. But FPS, I love FPSs. I want to get into Metroid, so I'm like, you got me. And it looks beautiful. The graphic fidelity is amazing. It's definitely it's on my radar too. Definitely.
Yeah. It's definitely a good game to pick up. I recommend it. I highly recommend it if you haven't played any of them.
Gotcha.
And then as you get into Metroid Prime 2 Echoes, that's where you start meeting Dark Samus, and that's where things even get way better. It just gets crazy, man. Like it's insane.
Looks like I got homework.
Yeah, but the graphical comparison of like, it's not that far off. I mean, the remaster did a good job of kind of making the graphics look a little bit better, but they still, I mean, the GameCube kind of held up pretty well, I think so, in my opinion, at least for the graphic style that they went for.
Gotcha.
But now this Metroid Prime 4 is like, holy crap, it almost, not comparing to Call of Duty too much, but like, I'm talking about like the detail in the gun.
Of course, yeah.
You can see more details in the gun, and like there's a lot more effects going on. It's like super awesome. Like,
there's a lot going on there, and I got to take it away.
Yeah.
But and you know more about it, so I can only imagine how much that meant to like you and other fans listening to this who are fans of Metroid, like how much that meant to them. Me as a nobody who doesn't know anything really about Metroid, I'm in.
Yeah. I mean, I knowing you're a big sci-fi dude, so like that's a good story, like honestly, like coming from the Metroid side. So yeah, definitely pick it up whenever you can.
Yeah.
Another game, one thing, speaking on the same subject of Nintendo, I don't know. I don't think Castlevania falls in that line anymore. I think they're more of a...
They dabble.
Right?
They dabble, yeah. I've noticed that. I looked at the timeline. You got games that are exclusive to the PlayStation, some exclusive to Nintendo, some where there's a mix, some where it's computer. If you want to say it's Nintendo, I'm not gonna be like, well, actually.
Yeah, it's just because I have like the NES version, so I have Castlevania 1, 2, 3, and then that's when it started jumping to the PS2, and then stemming off from there to like, but they had the Game Boy Advance game, so I have this fixed. I will always know them as being a Nintendo game first.
Yeah.
But nowadays, like, I mean, they haven't really expanded upon any games recently, right? Like,
no, the most recent release, if you will, is it's an iOS game that I had for a bit, and it kind of dabbles into the multiverse thing. It brings in Alucard, and it brings in a bunch of whoever's supposed to be spoilers potentially, supposed to be like the new Dracula incarnate from like the present. It's like an individual with like white hair, with a Japanese name. It brings in like a bunch of like, I mean, that is correct. It brings in like all the major protagonists, and of course it's like, oh, Dracula's resurrecting. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think they kind of wrote themselves into a corner. Like they made a timeline. Castlevania, at first there was no timeline. It was not, each game did not have a year, so to speak. But then once they started attaching years to the games, and then these gaming guides came out that kind of established the order of the games. They're like, oh shit, this cannot last forever.
Yeah. I get it.
And Dracula comes out every 100 years, so it's like, so at some point you kind of get they got written into they wrote themselves into a corner. The year 1999 comes around. There's like a massive war between Dracula and humanity. Dracula loses, but he always got to find a way back. But I think in the present, it's like, okay, there's no way he can come back. So there's really no more room to go other than to introduce the concept of like multiverses and bringing people from other timelines.
Well, I mean, because when you think about it, you play the Zelda games, right?
The Zelda games?
Mm-hmm. No. Don't. Okay, that's it for the
Yeah,
podcast, guys. I'm gonna have to go and beat some ass. Okay, no, I've never met anybody that's never played a Zelda game.
I have never. Well, I have played. I've never gotten far enough to say that I have played it. If that makes sense, you know, a guy picks up a game and plays it for like 1 or 2 hours, and they say, "Yeah, okay, I've played it." I have literally. So, guys, he's looking at me. He's looking at me.
This fucking guy.
Okay, so that's definitely my homework.
Take off that Zelda shirt. You don't deserve it. I'm just kidding.
No, I know Ocarina came out. Ocarina of Time came out on the 64 backwards compatibility on the Switch.
Yeah,
that's currently what I'm playing right now. I'm also playing that right now, but not enough to say like, oh yes, I played Zelda.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a side tangent. We're kind of like rabbit holing there, but the reason why I mentioned that is because you do at least know the story, right? The story is a hero comes back and fights the evil, and then does that over and over and over every game.
Of course.
So they beat on that dead horse for the longest time.
Okay,
So, but it's not. I wouldn't say beat on the dead horse, because I mean, it's actually every game is unique in its own sense.
There's something different, yeah.
But they were able to get away with having this being called Ganon, or even an evil force from like the Skyward Sword. There was the I forgot what the evil force was called, but it was called the Dark Evil.
The Dark, yeah.
And then they've been able to reincarnate it so many times, and it doesn't get old. It's just like that. I don't understand how they done it. The formula is just there, but like with Dracula, it's kind of the same thing. Like he just gets reincarnated. You can't kill him.
Yeah.
He's never gonna die. There's always gonna be something that evil never dies. It just comes back and he just gets vanquished all the time. So I think there's room, especially on the new consoles nowadays. Like, come on, they have so much like flexibility to do whatever the hell they want now.
I've been noticing that.
Yeah, I mean, playing the Lords of Shadow games, I mean, those are amazing. Like, to me, they were really amazing. I know it's a different storyline and it's a different twist on it, which when I first played, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, you know, it went there.
I enjoyed it. Yeah. I really enjoyed it. And so
maybe that one's recent enough where we don't want to spoil that. But that one was pretty good. Hey, if you want to spoil it, go for it.
No. Well, we can leave it there. That's fine.
We'll leave it there.
We'll leave it too.
If you guys want us to spoil it, let's
piece it together.
Or just go on YouTube. Just go on YouTube real quick.
Yeah.
But I'm there. I'm with you.
Yeah.
On that. But I will tell you, with Elden Ring coming out, with Shadow of the Erdtree that just came out, I saw that there's like a pose, like where you the player can like extend your sword like directly outwards, like to the right, and then you got the shield, and people are making what are called Alucard builds. Yeah.
Oh.
And now I'm like, FromSoft should absolutely be contacted by Konami to make the next Castlevania. Make Castlevania a Soulsborne.
Oh man,
dude, can you imagine that?
Oh. I mean, thinking
Hop
about
on the subreddit, people are calling for it, man.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to that. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, Star Wars went there.
Star Wars went there.
I actually enjoyed that.
Yeah. Star Wars went there. Final Fantasy went there. Castlevania, Konami, take a note and just do it, you know?
Yeah, some of the decisions at Konami, it gets me questioning, because ever since the whole PT incident, that kind of pissed me off.
Yeah, I was but they've literally spent the last decade trying to garner back their goodwill, and so far they're doing okay. They're doing okay with the most recent Metal Gear Solid Volume 1 collection. They've done a lot of stuff, and they added like behind the scenes looks, and the graphics look beautiful, and they're really trying, and I'm trying to give them a chance, you know.
Yeah. So all in all, just to go back, let's get out of the hole. Let's go back to what the original games that we're excited for. So, like, yes, Castlevania.
You've only mentioned one. You've only mentioned one.
Metroid Prime 4. Oh, yeah. Well, no, I mean, Castlevania could consider one, right? Like, it's not one that's coming out. It's just a idea.
A
right?
DLC for Dead by Daylight is coming out.
God, they do
Castlevania.
so many. Oh, they keep doing so many, dude. Like they dip in there. I don't have a problem with it. It's just like they get all these licenses to partner up with everybody. Like, holy shit,
It's working.
It
works.
Yeah, every time it's not annoying. It's just like I'm like, damn, when are they gonna stop? Like, where is their
Make
limit?
something original? Yeah.
No, I mean, not really original. I'm just like, I'm not really explaining it correctly. I'm more like, damn, they have so many ties to all these. Like, they're coming out with so many different characters, right?
Yeah, it's an observation.
It's like Fortnite. Fortnite comes out with all the skins with all these people, that you don't really think they're going to come out, but then they end up coming out with it. So right now they have X-Men, and they come out with even movies. Like, they're probably going to come out with another Deadpool skin for the Ryan Reynolds. And it's just like, I always wonder how that works. Like, how you get that stuff to be able, because obviously it's licensed, and you can't do it unless, and then you'll get sued if you do.
Right.
So they have to make deals with these people to kind of be like, hey, we're going to put your character in our game. We'll give you a share of the cut here from all the microtransactions. And so it's just crazy.
It is kind of mind-boggling how Dead by Daylight just kind of dips his toes into everything. But anyway, so what else are you looking forward to 2024?
So this one is actually a conversation that Capcom is supposed. I think they actually confirmed it. Yes, so they confirmed it, and that was the one good thing out of their show, right?
I think I know what you're about to say.
Resident Evil.
Yes.
900. 900.
Hey, keep that shit coming. I heard that after this is supposed to be end of the main timeline or continuity. Keep going. Don't stop.
What is the main time? Oh, because with the
Chris, Jill, and Leon and Claire.
So they're gonna close that?
I hope not. That's a thing going around in the Resident Evil subreddit where you got this guy. His name is Dusk Golem, who's pretty up to date on leaks, and he's pretty. I would say he's reliable 7 out of 10 times. And what he says is that his people are telling him that this is supposed to be like a bookend, not the end of the series, but like a bookend for the characters that we've grown up with, which I hope is not true.
Well, I know it sucks to hear because a lot of people are like so tied to Jill and the original cast, right? But you got to think, I mean, at one point, we didn't know who the fuck those characters were.
Yeah.
I mean, who's this guy, Leon, just coming in and Claire, and then we play the game, and they've made their stance, like they've set their feet into this franchise, right?
Right.
When Ethan came around, he kind of, even though you couldn't really, you would play him from the first person, so it's not the same like when you would play the other characters, because you could see them and you can relate to them because of their appearances and also their choices that they make. But not to say that Ethan doesn't have things with his choices. Have you played any of those new ones?
All of them.
Okay, so so
that one's not Zelda.
Yeah, okay.
I've actually played all those.
We will for sure shut this shit down.
But I played Resident Evil. Yes, I've played Resident Evil.
I enjoyed Ethan's story because it was a father kind of storyline to where I can't remember. I think it was a prequel, right?
Which one? What are we talking about? Which one?
So I read, was it Resident Evil Village? Was that one a prequel?
Village is
no, because Chris is in it, obviously.
Yeah. Village is a continuity. It continues 7, but it adds so much lore on the back end.
Yes,
I do not fault you for thinking that.
Yes. So, okay,
it adds so much context to the whole Umbrella founding and the person who made Umbrella, who his mentor was. I'm not going to get into spoilers on that one because this is getting. Other than this, has so many implications for the backstory of Resident Evil. So you're right. You're right on the money on that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess. Well, I mean, we don't want to tangent too much into it, but yes, it did kind of expand on the background. So, like, it gets confusing at a point in the game where you're like, oh, okay, because what I do when I play it the first time through, I like to go to Wikipedia, even though Wikipedia is a very kind of weird source sometimes. Yeah. But most of the time, people are always posting up the current storyline and their plot ideas, or actually the plot. Yeah. And so I went and I go and read the plot, and so after beating the game, I was like, Oh, so that's what's happening here because there's some things that you do in the game where you're questioning like, well, what the heck is this doing? Even though they tell you like, oh, this is X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, this is your objective. Go here.
But to go deeper into the lore, that's where I go and find that information out. And whenever I read that, I was like, okay, so now this is kind of where is this happening in the timeline in certain places. And so I do appreciate that. And it definitely that is actually another topic to talk on is
we can definitely put that. But what have you heard so far about 9 other than I kind of took it from there. But what have you heard about 9 and what are you hoping for from Resident Evil 9?
Well, like what you touched on, I mean, cuz I don't want them to keep beating. So Resident Evil 6 was supposed to be a good game. And it was I enjoy.
I think it is a good game, but go ahead.
I enjoyed it because I'm a fan of Resident Evil, right? Like even though some people are very like tied to the original like feel,
the formula, yes.
Like I enjoy the horror aspect. That's the reason why I love Resident Evil.
Fair enough.
I understand it went the action route ever since 4, but 4 still had that horror factor because you would be, the thing that freaked me out in 4 was like you'd be chased with like chainsaw guys.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude. Like when I first played that and that chainsaw dude came after me and just like sliced my head off, I was like, oh, that was like brutal.
That is brutal.
It freaked me out. So it just brings that tension, right? And so with 6, it was just like a movie action movie.
You're 100% right on that.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, but I enjoyed it because it brought all the characters full circle into the same game.
Yes.
Like it had Chris, it had Leon, it had, I don't know, was Claire in it?
Claire was only mentioned by Sherry Birkin.
And then I know Ada was in there, Ada Wong. But then you played Wesker's supposed son, right?
Yeah. Jake.
Yes, Jake. And then
he just fucks off. You never hear from him.
Yeah. So like, I appreciate that aspect, like bringing everybody full circle. And so that's what I would hope out of 9 is to somehow, because they started bringing Chris in whenever 6 came around.
He's big now. He's very important.
Yeah. So obviously there's that new task force that he's all in charge of. And, it's kind of like another STARS, if you think about it. But yeah, so like now I'm curious to see, well, where is Leon in this? Because what they've been doing in between, which are not really related to at least I don't think they're canon, are the movies, the digital movies that are coming out, like CGI.
The CGI ones are canon.
Are they?
They are canon.
Okay, because I've
once you get into Mila Jovovich, no, those are not canon. But the CGIs, yes, yeah.
Okay, I saw the one on Netflix. It was the
it's like Dark Island or Dead Island or something.
Yeah,
like that.
something like that. And I know they were like something with it was Leon with the president and all this stuff and crazy stuff going on with Claire.
Yeah, that one literally had everyone: Jill, Claire, Chris, and Leon. Yeah, and that one was good. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I enjoyed it. Yeah, but that's what I would hope in a video game is like for all of them to come back together one last time to where they can close it out. And I kind of want Wesker to come back.
I was gonna say, how do you want it to top up? Who do you want to be the big bad?
Dude,
Wesker.
I love Wesker, man. Like,
make it happen somehow. The fucking lava, it missed a cell and the cell regrew into a new body or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah. Some crazy shit. Or what was it like? Harry? Have you seen Harry Potter movies?
Yeah.
The Horcruxes. He did a fucking Horcrux.
He's testing my status as a geek. But yes, yes, I have.
I mean, because there are some other movies that are doing that as well, like the plot. Like with Star Wars, and we don't. Some people might have a lot.
So we definitely need to save this for another thing. But have you played Resident Evil Revelations 2?
No, that is the one. So those they were originally released on. They were mobile. I mean, not mobile.
It was on the 3DS.
Yes, 3DS.
And then it came out for
the Xbox 360,
the Xbox 360 and PlayStation, and then those have since been remastered for the current consoles.
Right.
I will tell you, there's a way there for Albert to come back.
Okay,
so I won't spoil it until we actually do an episode of Resident Evil.
I've been meaning to play them. Like I have them here.
It's co-op. It's co-op, dude.
Is it?
If you want to play, yeah.
All right.
It's a date.
We're buying it. Yeah. So
it's that easy, guys. It's that easy.
It's done.
Yeah.
I'll play that one. But like,
I will not a spoiler, but his sister is the villain. But when you go through the story, things start clicking. And if they want to find a way to bring back Albert, there's a way.
You're bringing back. Okay, so I cheated and I read the plot because I hadn't played the games, and I just no. But like when you mentioned the sister thing, that was like, oh, okay. Now I know that was a piece of the puzzle there. But I still don't know the full scope of the story, so it'll still be a new shocker to me.
So
but,
I'm there with you. Wesker's got to be the big
yeah,
bad.
dude. And they bring back the original voice actor for him. Like he had that like very sinister voice. Like
yeah. Complete global saturation.
Yeah.
Crash. No, it was. I loved it. It was iconic.
Yeah. You know, speaking on Wesker, I'm guessing you played Code Veronica X.
Yes.
So in Code Veronica, because specifically Code Veronica X, they had unreleased footage from there, and that wasn't on the original. And that's whenever he fought Alexa, right?
Yeah,
dude, that was the moment that I rooted for fucking Wesker because he was fighting her and like she was like, whoop. Oh, dude,
I would watch that cutscene over and over again as a kid trying to get into Resident Evil. Like I played the first one, and this game is old, guys, so don't give me this shit. I'm going to spoil the thing. Like he's supposed to die in the first one, right? You think he's dead,
right?
And by all accounts, he is dead. And then I don't know where he comes up in Code Veronica, and you're just like, okay. And then you see that scene where he activates like his super speed powers and like super strength against Alexa.
Badass.
And I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah. He's like, I remember he was running on the wall, right? Like he did some fucking crazy shit.
And meanwhile, she's throwing like her fire blood against the wall. And he's just dodging it. And I think his hand actually, his arm catches on fire and he just like, he finds like a nearby floor and he just like, bah, the fire goes out, you know. I'm like, this guy is amazing.
Yeah. It's like, where has this guy been?
And he wears fucking sunglasses in the dark indoors, you know, just it's cringe. I love it. I love it. It's a good cringe.
Tool. What a major tool.
Grass.
Yeah. So that would be, you know, my thoughts on Resident Evil 9 and then opening a new chapter into another arc. Which I thought Ethan was a different arc, which it should have been, but then they brought Chris in, and now it's like tied into the original kind of what's going on.
Well, his daughter's out there. So
yes. Did you play the DLC?
No.
Oh, buddy.
I need to. This was towards the end of law school, and things kind of got caught up. So
no excuse.
So Zelda, the Resident Evil DLC, need to get on it. So I did spoil myself. I know how it ends.
Yeah. So I mean, it does expand a little bit. It's not like heavy. It definitely takes you through what she can do and what her like angle is, right? But where it continues off from there, I think that's going to start taking her, and then possibly they're probably going to introduce a new character. Yeah, I would assume, and it's going to be somehow tied to the same people that are in the game. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. But anyways,
definitely need to do a Resident Evil episode.
Yeah. And then on the same topic of, you know, games that we're excited for or that are coming out, or I think this one did come out, and staying on the topic of Resident Evil is the trilogy. Mm-hmm. So I began reading that GOG, which I don't even know what it is, even to this day. Like
I'll tell you what it is. So CD Projekt Red, Cyberpunk, and The Witcher, they also own this website. Well, it's not even a website. It's whatever Steam is. It's like a launcher to like buy games, own games, and then like play games. Same exact thing.
Same exact thing. I went to the website. That's about as far as I went. Like I went to the website and it looked almost very similar to a humble bundle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So GOG, what you would like, you especially as a game preservationist, I think that's almost fair to say. On top of collecting, you want to preserve games, right? Mm-hmm. Games that like. Anyway, when you buy the game on GOG, you actually own the game. Oh. It's not like Steam where it's like you own a license indefinitely,
and then they can take it away,
and then they can take it away.
That's
what I think. That's what happened with Dark and Darker until they finally re-released it. GOG, you own the game, and if you can play the game offline. So let me CD Projekt Red, you got your shit together.
Yeah, that is a good topic to touch on, which we might dive into a little bit later in this show. I'm glad you brought that up about the whole owning your games and digital games. Do you own them?
Do you own them?
There's the headline.
Yeah.
Do you own your digital games?
Spoiler alert. Not really.
Nah, dog.
No, literally now there's fucking games coming out and the disc is there, but it's like you still need to install all this other shit. Or sometimes the case is empty. There's no disc. It's like you got to download this. Like So I really don't own it.
Yeah.
I have to ask you for permission. Like, it indefinite license doesn't mean shit. Anyway, but GOG. So Resident Evil's on there.
Resident Evil trilogy, yes, they did a remaster. I guess it's not a remake; it's a remaster.
Yes,
it's the original 3.
Yeah,
and
they made it playable on modern PCs.
Yeah, so that one I'm pretty excited about because it's just the original 3. If you played the original 3, you know, and
yeah.
My favorite one was part 2. That was honestly my favorite one, and it's a very hard battle between part 1 and 2. Part 1 because you're in a mansion, and it's just the setting of a mansion is very scary.
Yeah,
and because you don't know what's going to be lurking around the corner. But like with Resident Evil 2 being in the city, and then also the enemies and the storyline behind that, like that one was just super iconic at the time when it came out.
Right.
And so definitely I need to go check out those games. But yeah, those are the games that I'm pretty much excited for that were announced recently. But you know, I have a backlog right now. So right now I'm on Elden Ring, which is going to probably keep me for like a couple more months. I'm never going to get around to another game. Jesus Christ.
Hey, we still got to finish up. Like as soon as apparently I'm almost done with the main story. I'm in the windy, tornado-y city in the sky.
Oh, yes, you're there.
So.
Oh, that's where I fought that fucking dragon. That goddamn dragon.
Is it the red lightning one?
No, this one's I'm gonna butcher the name, but Plaxius. I don't know.
Okay, so I'm not there. So help me out, and then I'll help you out, dude.
I think it's a 3-headed dragon.
We gotta get to Resident Evil Revelations 2.
Jesus, yeah. So yeah, we will do that.
Yeah.
So new games that are remakes, or the thoughts on our remakes.
This really kind of just blends seamlessly with like what we were just talking about. A lot of the games we're looking forward to are remakes and remasters, but nonetheless we're excited for it, you know.
Yeah. And when we talk about this, we're talking because there are remakes, right? So you got Resident Evil 2, for example, which was a remake that they did recently, and also Resident Evil 3, which is fine. I mean, it's a whole rendition, even though
new assets,
story elements have changed slightly, but you know, it's graphically a lot better.
Yes.
But remasters is basically
more
taking
contentious.
the original game, taking it out of its original resolution to play on a new TV, or play on a new display, right? To make it look pretty, pop out all the pixels, and for like make a 4K game.
Yeah,
let's just say it like that.
Yeah.
You know, with that's cool. You know, because like the GOG, they're coming out with the original trilogy, which is nice because people that weren't able to play it, and maybe because nowadays, if you try and find Resident Evil 2, it's about $50, $60, and then some people might have a hard time finding a PS1 or a PS2 that can play the PS1 games.
Yeah.
And so, you know, the easiest thing is everybody has a computer. So most likely now computers are able to keep up with games because now Microsoft is coming up and making sure that gaming is one of the priorities with all their systems, right? Good. So they build this Xbox into it. So people gravitate towards doing stuff on the PC now, which is pretty cool because if you think about it, like a lot, like about 10, 15, 20 years ago, people were not savvy at playing games on computers. Yeah. And it was just like a very select few.
Yeah.
And now
it's very democratized, so to speak.
Yeah. So everyone, it's like the paradigm has shifted.
Yes, absolutely.
And so that's awesome. It's good to know that people are coming around the corner with that. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to these, the remasters that I'm specifically talking about that I may potentially have a problem with are these. So companies like Limited Run, there's another one called Strictly Limited, which I'm just naming companies that do this kind of model, right? And there is another one that I think I Am 8-Bit. I Am 8-Bit is another one. So let's just say that these types of companies, they take the original game and then they create this new physical copy that is kind of this bundle of uniqueness that can make people want to like buy their stuff.
Right. Fancy covers and limited number. And I think there's literally even like, oh, you got number 488 of 500 or whatever.
The nostalgia factor. Yeah. That's what it is. It's all about nostalgia. Like we're in this nostalgic age where people are wanting to live in that time whenever they first experienced that game. And so my problem with these is because even though these companies say limited run, they're really not limited. Like,
how do you mean?
So they themselves will create a limitation. So when I hear limited run,
it's artificial.
It's
They
artificial.
they could just put it like Walmart, Target, Amazon, put it on the PlayStation Network, but instead of doing that, we're only making 500 copies.
Right. I mean, which is cool because I mean, they make a unique model where like, okay, this game will come with a cartridge, or this game will come with like special art that's actually cooperated with the designer of the game and stuff like that.
Yes.
But from a factor of it being a totally limited game, like let's say you take Castlevania NES, right?
Yeah.
You want to make sure you have the original NES,
Yes.
and then you want to hold value in it.
Of course.
And I guess this starts dipping into like people who are either resellers or thinking from more of a term of like value, like that they feel like they have something valuable. So like, let's say if I had Castlevania NES and then I feel like, oh, I got the original, that's cool. The value is going to be great there because it's unique. I'm one of the only people in the world that has this unique game. Mm-hmm. And so then this company comes around and like, oh, we're going to re-release this game, and it's going to be in this totally new format, and it's going to be all this stuff coming out, and then you're like, oh, now my game is not so unique. And
I mean, not really, right? I mean, because I've been looking at limited run, and specifically for their Star Wars re-releases, namely Republic Commando and Force Unleashed, and it's got like new covers, and it looks nice, and it looks all pretty and what have you. But limited run, it's not like they're doing it in the classic. Like, let's say that they were to come out and announce a remaster of Castlevania NES. It's not like they're making an original NES game. They're just porting it, right? And the cover's almost always different. And it's clearly like they literally put the number in there. Like, oh, you got 488 out of 500. It's clearly a artificial or limited, release. Yeah. It doesn't take away from the fact that, oh, you got this game. When did the original Castlevania come out?
Oh shoot, that was in the 80s.
Yeah, no. So I think as a collector, or as a novice collector, you're a collector. As a novice collector myself, I'm still shooting for what you got for the NES, like the original stuff, not the. If I get the limited run stuff, that's so I could play it in modern consoles or maybe turn a quick profit because of the new release. But otherwise, I don't. Just to kind of push back, I think it's like you could still. People are still going to want to have, and people are still going to want to treasure the original thing.
So I'm catching myself talking in a. Let me put my consumer hat on.
Go for it.
My consumer side hat on, and so from a consumer's perspective, that's awesome. I mean, you get to play the game in a different, in a unique format that they're doing, right? Which is cool because you get to relive it in new consoles. Let me put the my business hat on.
Go for it.
From a business perspective, let's say if this was the only thing I ever did, right? And so reselling was my living, which is not, but that's my side business. But I have a game that's currently valued at $500 because it's a totally unique game, has never been printed ever again, right? It's truly limited.
Yeah.
And then this other company comes out and reprints them again. So now my value of my game goes down to $100 because it's not a unique game anymore. So from a business perspective, it sucks because you have these people that are keep re-releasing games, and it kind of hurts that aspect of it. So taking off my business hat, I do agree, and putting back on my consumer hat, I agree with you that it's cool that you get to relive the games.
Yeah.
But I do understand from the other side of the coin too. It's definitely however you look at it. But
yeah,
when is too much for remastering?
Fair enough. Yeah.
That's
Resident Evil fucking 4. How many remasters?
Dude, there are so fucking many of those. Oh my god.
iPhone, the most recent generation of iPhone. Literally everything from the PlayStation to the PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5. The remake doesn't count because that's original. I would say that's almost that's a ground up remake.
Well, it's
new assets. It's not giving a facelift to something old, but like there are games which are guilty of we're just going to keep on remastering this bitch.
Yeah,
it's like that Markiplier meme. I can milk you. I can milk you.
Oh my god.
So like the new Star Wars Bounty Hunter, which was supposed to be the original canon storytelling of Jango Fett, it came out for PS2. I don't think it came out for PS3, any remasters, but it was remastered for the PS4. And I think it was Limited Run who was, I think, guilty of remastering it. Or Aspire remastered it, and then Limited Run did a Limited Run. But now they're remastering it again.
Yeah.
But to be fair, they're adding a new costume. Does that justify buying it again?
Oh, goody. I got a new costume.
You get to play as Boba Fett, even though this is clearly not his game. So $60, please. Or however much it's going to be. I don't know. What do you think about that? Like, literally, it's like you remaster for the PS4. Now they're coming out with the 5, and now they're saying, like, okay, well, same thing. It can run on PS5's Xbox Series S, and it looks good. And you get one extra costume. What do you think about that?
As long as I don't have to pay for the extra costume, if it's in this bundle.
No, it's bundled in.
Okay, well then, I mean, some people might like it. People are probably just collectors of habit, and they just come out. If they really like a game, they'll buy it for every port. That's understandable.
That's fair.
I don't know. I'm kind of like now. I don't want to feel like I'm sounding like wishy-washy with my ideas. It's just like I feel like I can just see from both perspectives, so it's kind of tainting my responses when it comes to
no. That makes you holistic. That makes you a human being.
Because from like a business side, I understand from that, and then whenever I'm trying to talk and give that advice, I feel like I'm contradicting with what I'm thinking from a consumer's perspective. So it's like I'm fighting with myself.
No, you're good.
ADD. Don't get it.
We all got it. Deep down, we all got it. That's my secret, Kev. I'm always ADD.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah,
it can definitely be abused. So I guess we're kind of on the same page when it comes to like remasters. Be wary. I think when it comes to remasters, from a buyer and consumer point of view, it's like there's good to be had in that you are exposing. If you're part of the original generation, then it's like, okay, then this is nothing new to you, but maybe you could now play in your modern consoles. And if this is something you've heard about, but you couldn't play before, congrats, now you can play it. Yeah. But it's also like, at what point do you just say, okay, now you're just milking us. You're just, there's nothing. Yeah.
It's original. Like a cash grab, right?
Yes. A cash grab. Perfect. Versus remakes. It's like, this is a new thing built entirely from the ground up.
I think remakes would be better.
Yes.
So a remake would be a totally better situation. But I do understand. So this is just me thinking.
Go for it.
I can only understand that maybe from a perspective of a game studio, that they would be like, okay, we're hurting because we haven't been producing that many good games recently. What are we going to be able to do and get our hands on that we can probably make some money really quick, right?
Yeah.
So there's that side of the coin where, let's just remaster this game and then put it out and then make a quick buck out of that. But then you got people like the developers that really care about wanting to re-envision the game into like with graphical improvements, right?
Yes.
So then they'll be like, let's take the time to work on this game and make it special, like Dead Space.
Yes.
Dead Space, they took the time, they fucking remastered the shit, and that was a beautiful game. That was beautiful. Oh my God, it was great.
Yeah, clearly, it pays a lot of respect to the original. It's more than a facelift. It's new assets, and it makes you excited again for Dead Space 2. Whether you play the original or whatever they're cooking right now. Like that is...
And then it appeals to a new audience as well.
Yes.
Like the people that didn't get a chance to grow up with that game, they'll be like, oh, what's this Dead Space? And then like, oh, you don't know about Dead Space here. You fucking play the game and you'll know.
Yeah, you don't have to buy an Xbox 360 to play the original, whatever. Just buy the new one.
It's awesome.
You're going to like it. Yeah.
So, I definitely think remakes would be a better idea. But if there was a game... Like if Nintendo were to come and say, "Oh, we're going to remaster Conker's Bad Fur Day," which is honestly one of my favorite games, then I'd be like, "Dude, I'm all for that," because I played the original so many times that it never got boring for me.
I got you.
It's such a good game. But yeah, so like that, I can understand a remaster.
You made a good point, and that's why your voice is important from the buyer's perspective. I'm mostly consumer. It's that. We need to make something, we got to keep these lights on and we want to keep the fan base going. Right. So what's going to be better? What's going to be a good way to draw people in? Do we remaster or do we spend 5 years and all the assets that it entails in developing basically a new title, with the same, so just remaster. And I think it's also a good way to gauge interest,
Right. Yeah, I mean, but what are y'all's thoughts? What do y'all think on that topic? And we're open up for for ideas on that and thoughts. But going into I know we were kind of talking a little bit on that side, but our next topic, we wanted to dive into comics and heroes.
Yes.
So that's your wheelhouse, buddy. So what do you want to start off with?
Wolverine versus Deadpool is coming out. It's it looks like a love letter from I want to say Marvel, but Marvel. This kind of goes into what we were saying in the previous episode, where it kind of seems like Marvel kind of doesn't know what it's doing, and there's like a large reading list, if you will, with these new releases coming out, especially with the concept of a multiverse. But what Ryan Reynolds is doing, I think, is writing a love letter to the fans, saying, stick with us, you're gonna enjoy this. And if you're an old school a fan of from X-Men, when really the Marvel movies were taken off, this is for you. And if you've seen the most recent trailer, there's Pyro from X-Men 2 and 3. He's going to make an appearance, the original actor. And you got Sabretooth, the original actor from the first one. It's fucking amazing. And so usually when a trailer comes out, I'm thinking, fuck, what was the last thing that happened? Or, where are they going with this? Here, I'm just like, this is going to be a good time. We're going to see some old faces. It's like going to a reunion, like, hey, where have you been? I'm getting that feeling just looking at these trailers. And from the rumors I'm getting, this is going to have massive implications moving forward. And now I think the MCU will be going back on track towards their next big bad crossover, Avengers Secret Wars. That's where it looks like it's going towards.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited. I was curious to know what your thoughts were upon seeing the trailers.
Oh man, at this point, I think Ryan Reynolds is a very smart individual in how he markets.
He's smart. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things that he's done that have gotten me to be really confident in his decisions. He's done commercials for beer, and this is just it's just so smart, how he integrated with the Wolverine aspect. And he's like, I use your adamantium claws to create this beer can. It's so hilarious. It's awesome. He plays that role so well.
Yeah.
And when I first saw Ryan Reynolds in a movie, I think it was one of his first movies. It was Van Wilder. And so if you've never seen it, it's called National Lampoon's Van Wilder. It's definitely, it showcases his sarcasm and his is basically Deadpool, right? That he brought that into Deadpool.
Yeah,
and
he plays himself. Yeah.
Right. And so I knew about him before that. And then whenever I found out he was playing Deadpool, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be the perfect guy, right? And then, so as he played the character, he's literally the perfect, he's like Hugh Jackman. Nobody can replace him.
Yeah.
I mean, there could probably be somebody
you could try.
Hugh Jackman. Yeah. Somebody could probably replace him in the sense of maybe a different universe type of Wolverine. But with Deadpool is special because I think in all aspects he's just sarcastic. He's a fucking goofy character and just all over. He's breaking fourth walls here and there.
Yeah, even when you literally sew his fucking mouth shut.
Right.
In X-Men Origins Wolverine, I still haven't forgiven you, Fox, for that.
The unspeakable.
But even after that, it's you cannot shut him up. No, Deadpool's an institution. People are gonna want Deadpool.
Yeah.
And Ryan Reynolds, he did great.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
he wanted a sequel to Origins. He didn't get it, so he's like, "Fuck it, let's just redo Deadpool." Fox shelved the project. Then he released a promo image.
I remember that,
and it got leaked online, and everyone's like, "Fox, fucking make this shit."
Yeah,
they made this shit, and now he is he's the Marvel Messiah.
Yeah.
So he says in the trailer, he's like, "I'm gonna save you all." Just go from that. It went from a failed sequel to a concept art that was shelved. And now it is part of the MCU, and it's what's going to bring us back to want us to get back in the seats in the theaters and say, what's next, Marvel? What do you have next? It's just crazy when you put it that way.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, and I that's why I'm really excited to see this movie. So before this happened, right? I had a friend who was really savvy about comics a long time ago, and he kind of shed some light on getting me into the scene of at least Marvel. Mm-hmm. So I was a big Spider-Man fan, I was a big Wolverine fan, and I started becoming more Deadpool fan.
Yeah.
And so we started talking one day, and he was like, dude, you need to check out the comics where Deadpool is, interact. Well, first off, Deadpool kills the universe. That was
that's funny,
fucking hilarious.
Yeah,
one.
He goes all out.
And then Deadpool when he interacts with Spider-Man. because Spider-Man is very witty and the way he talks, he's very sarcastic too. And so I was like, oh, okay, man, that's a pretty good pairing. And then obviously because he has the same factor of healing as Wolverine. He has moments where he interacts with Wolverine. And I was like, oh man, Wolverine being like this old timer, kind of guy, and then you have this fucking new age dude coming around and annoying the shit out of him all the time. Dude, I just like ever since knowing that, like I never read the comics. I really wish I would have gone back, and I can still do it now, but I hadn't taken the time to do so.
If we do another episode, I'd be happy to give reading lists.
So the personalities though, that's what I was really hoping like for something to happen. I told myself my wife hates it when I say this, but like I could die happy if there was a fucking Deadpool and Wolverine movie with Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds. And then that was like 3 or 4 years ago. And then now this is happening. It's like a dream come true. I'm crazy. Like, oh my God, yes.
Because Hugh Jackman has gone on to record saying like, this is done. It. I'm done after Logan. It's a happy ending.
That's bullshit. But
and Ryan Reynolds is like, I'm going to find a way to bring you back. And then he tweeted like, good luck. Like I'm done. And then that trailer comes out where he's working out. And he's like, guys, I hit a roadblock. I don't know what to do with Deadpool 3. I think I'm just going to shelve it. Hugh Jackman walks in through the door. Hey, man, you want to make a movie?
Yeah.
Sure, why the fuck not?
Smart marketing right there. There you go. Like, there you go.
And then he just looks at the camera. And I will always love you. I'm like, Ryan Reynolds, you bastard. You did it. You did it.
I mean, and that goes to show, I mean, also in the movie, I think it was Deadpool 2, right? Where it showed Wolverine on the spike whenever he died.
Yes, yeah.
So, like, I guess those were all implications like, hey, something is happening.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
We're going to slowly bring him in.
Yeah.
And so...
that end credit where he shoots his alternate universe self.
For the Green Lantern.
Wait, is that you? And like, I'm gonna in a couple of years, I'm going to come back and I'm going to ask you for help. When I do say yes.
Oh, you're talking about that one. Yeah.
Yeah. That one's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So here it goes. Payoff. Community reception across the subreddits and Facebook. It tends to be pretty very vitriolic, so to speak. Very divisive when it comes to Marvel movies as of late, and really any superhero titles. But I will say I am very pleased to say that Deadpool and Wolverine. I see nothing but praise and good and high expectations. This is like the stuff pre-Avengers Endgame where people are excited for a Marvel movie, and now it's just like, oh, please don't be bad. Please don't be bad.
Yeah.
Oh God. I mean, like people are actually excited. They want to go to the movies.
Yeah.
Dude, this is a $1 billion movie easily.
Oh yeah. I mean, easy. Like there's going to be so much going on in this movie. Like I don't know. I'm going to end up probably having to watch it like multiple times.
Yeah.
I'm totally okay with that.
Man.
But yeah, I never kept up with the community side. I mean, I just know from my perspective, like I'm excited for it. Even people might have their gripes from, someone's going to have a gripe out there with something. Yeah. But I think it's going to be an amazing movie.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. In that same spirit, there's another superhero movie coming out where I'm seeing nothing but negative thoughts on it. The Crow. The Crow.
No.
The Crow remake. I totally forgot. I kind of sort of forgot. It's like I kind of want to forget it, but I also kind of want to give it a chance. I don't know. What are your thoughts on it, man?
Yeah, you're looking at me and my facial expression. This is why we need video, because you're going to be like, oh, join me on that.
Yeah. We'll record it and we'll just put it on the video, right?
Man. Maybe it's a choice of actor. I don't know.
Skarsgård is an interesting choice.
Let me just put this on the record.
Not a bad one, but he's interesting.
No, he's a good character. He's a good actor. I give him that. He's the same guy that played Pennywise, right? This is the same one? Because there's like 3 Skarsgårds. Or
Asterisk.
Is there 2 of them? I forgot.
There's Stellan Skarsgård.
There's got Bill Skarsgård, and then there's Joey Skarsgård, and then there's Phil Skarsgård, and then there's
so many.
Johnny Skarsgård.
Before you go on that,
They're going to come out with a show called The Skarsgårds.
The Skarsgårds. Keeping up with the Skarsgårds. Bill Skarsgård.
Bill Skarsgård, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, go for it. Go for it.
So,
this episode is not sponsored by The Crow. Go for it.
I mean, from what I have a special place for the original, and because the special effects at the time, there was you can't replicate that anymore. You just can't. Mm-hmm. Like the certain atmospheric nature of things, even if you go in and watch any movie that came out in that time frame, like there is a special atmospheric feel from those. Like what was that movie? 13 Ghosts. If you go back and watch 13 Ghosts, like that one has like the same, I guess I would feel the same kind of feel towards it, because the animations are very choppy.
Yes.
Whenever it shows like flashbacks, it's like choppy instead of it being like so CGI'd.
Yes.
But like that's kind of like how The Crow brought its thing, except that it was built on a set that was just so gothic in its nature.
Yeah.
And
a lot of practical effects. It was all shot on scene, and they made do with what limitations they had at the time.
Right.
And it turned into something beautiful.
And then seeing the trailer for the new one, I'm like, I don't get the same vibe.
It's a CGI fest.
Yes, I wish they would go back to practical effects instead of it being CGI. Like CGI everything, yes, it's cool, you get to do stuff, but like it kind of takes away from the heart of what made the original great.
You know what? I think you hit it right on the head. The Crow is, if you read the comic, and this can be a topic for another day. There's a heavy story, but without getting into that, the Crow is not a superhero per se, but there is a sort of like mysticism. There is powers, but otherwise the Crow doesn't have heat vision. He doesn't fly. He doesn't, like, there's really no need for special effects.
Yeah. So he's just invincible.
He's just invincible.
Yeah.
That's it. So why?
Well, okay, I should probably refrain from saying that. He's invincible unless you, I don't know if that's comic accurate, you kill the Crow.
Only in the movie.
It's only in the movie.
But
okay,
but
I've
even
never expanded into
let's
the comic.
just go. I need a double check, so we'll put a pin on that. But I'm pretty sure in the movie, he's vulnerable if you kill the Crow, or you injure it. In the comic, it's just like he has immortality until he finishes
his task.
exacting his vengeance. But
okay.
Either way, it's still like, what's the need for all this CGI? Like,
yeah. I agree. I mean, to be honest, I'm cringing at the thought of seeing that movie.
Yeah,
I'll still watch it.
I will watch it because
I'll try to have an open mind.
Yeah,
but I just already. I shouldn't be quick to judge, but I mean, I feel like it's just not going to meet my expectation of what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Especially from the way he looks. That's my biggest problem.
It's interesting.
It's like they're pulling a fucking Joker, dude. Like,
damaged.
Oh, no. Yeah. So that's the exact vibe that I got, is like the Jared Leto Joker. They fucked that one up, and now they're fucking this one.
Yeah, right now Bill Skarsgård's like, I'm going to hurt you really, really badly. And then when that trailer came out, Suicide Squad, I'm like, oh, please take that out of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I
take that shit out. Yeah. It's here's kind of the interesting thing. I will see it too, because The Crow is literally my favorite all time. Again, he's not a superhero, but it is a superhero movie. It's my favorite. It's my favorite superhero movie of all time, and I would want to at least give it a chance. And I remember my parents talking about seeing The Crow originally. I think that was the first movie they ever saw together, as a matter of fact.
Wow!
And they still talk. And they still talk about it and how much they did not like it. My father was obsessed with Bruce Lee, and he liked Brandon Lee. He was very interested in watching his career growing up, especially since he lost a father, a great icon in movie history. And then Brandon Lee tragically lost his life. So he's like, let's watch this. And in the end, he and my mother, they still talk about like how much they did not like it. Like, this was not meant for them. But it's funny enough, like, people in our generation, we love that shit.
Yeah.
So,
that's kind of that side tangent, but this is really, really relatable, because Nightmare Before Christmas. So that Tim Burton movies are just very special to me. Like,
yes,
I love their weirdness.
Yes.
And so that's probably one of my all-time favorite movies, animated movies, is that one. And so one of our friends recently, and I talk about recently, saw it like in Christmas of last year.
Right.
They saw Nightmare Before Christmas for the first time, and they were like, we don't know if we like it.
Yeah.
Because it brought that weird vibe, and they just don't understand. Like, I guess it's just not their thing.
Yes.
And so I can understand like why maybe your parents might feel that way.
So, but we like it, right? So it's like, if you like it, great. But if you don't like, it's like you're not gonna like it, but your kids are gonna love it.
Yeah.
I am curious to see if I'm gonna come away from this movie not liking it, but you know what? Maybe this is not meant for me. Because that's what I'm seeing from the apologists, if you will, on the subreddits and Facebook pages, where you got people who are like lambasting the movie to hell, but then you got younger people who are saying, not gonna lie, guys, this actually looks kind of good.
Yeah, well, yeah, because so from that aspect, they're because we're nostalgists, right? So
Yes.
we've seen the original, so we want it to be replicated like the original and
Yes.
look like the original.
Yeah.
When it does, obviously it doesn't look like it's going to meet that. But then if you take somebody who's never even heard of The Crow and they're like, oh, hey, this movie called The Crow is coming out. This one actually looks
Good
pretty
for
cool.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And they watch it and they can relate to it. That's all it comes down to is relatability.
Yeah.
We can't relate to it too much because it doesn't relate to our old movie.
Right.
They relate to it because maybe sometimes some of the things that they've gone through in their life can relate to that specific movie and the character and what's going on.
Right.
So they attach themselves that way.
Yeah.
So I think that I can see it from that perspective of it happening that way, which is fine.
I'm going to go into it with two mindsets. Is it a faithful remake of the first movie, and is it a faithful adaptation of the comic?
Right. That's the big core. Right.
The first movie actually deviates from the comic in many respects in terms of like the order of the villains, their quirks, and like I'm pretty sure killing the Crow and deactivating Brandon Lee's powers was something only in the movie. That was not in the comic, I think. But still, it kept the message that James L. Barr, the author of the comic, wanted to preserve, and it translated that message very well. If the new movie can capture that for modern audiences, I will forgive it if it's not a faithful remake of the first movie. That's the key. So I have to imagine that with a property as sacred, or at least to me and to many people, and to James L. Barr, like if it has the balls to do that, I have to think James L. Barr must have given it. They must have given the director and the producer, the blessing to do it. So I don't know. I have to go in and I'm going to give it a shot.
Yeah. I mean that's fair. I mean, we'll see what happens whenever it comes out.
But so far, I'm with you. I'm like, this doesn't.
Yeah.
This doesn't look good.
We'll see.
But my kids, they may like it.
I swear to God, if he turns into a fucking crow, and that's his special power, he's like, all right, my final form is here. I will fucking walk. I've never walked out of a movie. I will walk out of that goddamn movie.
Or that little girl like in the first movie who like talks like, imagine like the little girl in this movie is like, hey, you look like the Crow, and then it's like the Thing and like the Fan Four Stick, the most recent. It's like, say that again. It's kind of fantastic. Hey, I think I got a name for the team. Oh, imagine it's like, you look like a crow. You know what? I like that. I'm the Crow. Just no, don't do that. Oh
God, yeah. I guess to close out on the whole comics and heroes, those are some of the things that we're kind of excited for at the moment. And diving into our last topic of the show, our business ventures. What's currently going on right now. What's new that's happened recently that we may want to kind of discuss on. So Whatnot, I know you have started your Sparkling City Comics, right? I don't want to butcher that. So Sparkling City Comics, what have you been able to put together since you've started? I know you haven't had your first show just yet.
Yeah, not yet, but I have listed basically most, if not all, of what I intend to sell in my first show. And at the time of the making of this episode, I have one interested buyer and one of my Funkos. So I know that people are looking at my stuff. Now it's a matter of, getting the good ratings and really just putting myself out there. And I did actually schedule a show and then just, and I asked you for some feedback and you're like, just do it. I want to just get more, just get better equipped before I go out there. And plus I wanted to learn, demeanor and how people engage with the audience. Because I've stumbled upon shows where there's not a lot of viewers or there's not a lot of people bidding on stuff. And then you could kind of see like the seller just gets a little, you could tell it's getting to them. And I'm like, well, clearly I don't want that, and then there's others where it's like no one's bidding and they're like, it's okay, guys. I'll put it away. I'll save it for another show. Let's keep going. And I'm like, this guy's a good chap. I want to buy something from him. I'm just waiting for the right thing to come versus, like, oh, well, this guy has an attitude. I'm going to leave. So I'm learning demeanor and I'm also learning how I want to approach the show with regards to comics. I've seen people, they literally just buy pull boxes or boxes from like their local LCSs, probably for a good price because they're buying it in bulk, and then they sell it for like $1 or $2 a piece. And I can see how you could turn a profit. Right now, I'm not there yet, but I do see other people who start selling slabs, like graded comics and then signed by thing. I have a couple, as you know, I have a couple in my possession. So I'm kind of thinking, do I want to go to my LCS and buy a whole bunch of comics in bulk and sell it that way, or do I want to be like a graded slabbed seller? And I'm seeing a lot of pros and cons to that. So I'm still looking at it. I don't know. I think I'm sort of leaning towards the graded and slabs thing.
Yeah.
Especially in auctions. It's crazy. Like I usually have eBay up and the Comic Collector app, which I highly recommend everyone who's interested in getting into comics. I think that's a good resource. I have those up, and then I see the auction, and then I say, okay, so yeah, this kind of tracks with what it's going for. But then just in the heat of the moment in the auction, these people can sell it for like 100, maybe 200, like the average price, if you will, on eBay. And I'm like, cha-ching. That's kind of what if I can capture that same energy, fuck yeah, I would like to sell on Whatnot, my graded and signed slabs. So I think I'm leaning more towards that way, but it's I'm just inching towards there. And more than anything, the Whatnot community is just so nice and helpful, and I love the way the community how they communicate. And so I've been learning from people, asking them questions. So
yeah, the one thing that I found whenever because to touch on how you're feeling, like, you know, you want to be ready by your first show, like I understand that factor, but you know, if you end up taking too long on it, I think you just need to start, right?
Yeah.
Just do it.
You're right.
You know, because the more you say like, hey, you may not be ready today, you're not going to be ready in 2 weeks, you're not going to be ready for a year, and then you're going to be like, well, what have I been doing? You know, you don't. I kind of made that mistake where I was like, okay, I need to perfect my first show and then stuff like that, but honestly, like you're gonna fail your first show. You're gonna learn a lot, and I hate to say it that way. It's not really failing. I look at it as a.
You think it's gonna go this way?
It's an improvement, right? Like, okay, so you're gonna find out where all your weak areas are.
Yeah.
I mean, you're never good at everything whenever you start originally, right? So you're gonna find all your weak areas, and then you're gonna find, I could do this better, or this is how I, can improve on there. To shed some light on how I started, like I didn't have anybody to kind of bounce off with. I just said, I want to try and sell some games, and I literally only sold one game on my first show, and I didn't have nothing listed in my auction or my buy it now. For those who are familiar with the Whatnot platform, so it was definitely I only had 10 games in front of me on my little my display. And then just people would pop in, and then they would just pop out, pop in, pop out. I probably had a 3-hour show, and one guy was like, "I'm gonna pop your cherry. I'm gonna buy a game from you." And he bought Batman Arkham Knights.
Cool.
And so I was like, "Oh, cool! My first sale." Yeah. I was so happy. I was like, "Yeah, I got a sale. Cool." And then, but then I realized I'm like, yeah, I spent a lot of time there, but I feel like I could have done a lot better. And so the next show I was like, okay, I need to keep inventory. So I started listing stuff on my buy it now, found that brought in better traction. People were buying. And then I found out, I need to put my whole library up. And then this is obviously a fast forward, until, till now.
To the present, yeah.
Right. So all the things that I've learned is okay, make sure you have all your inventory listed, but this all comes with the personality that you are, right? Because people relate to they attach to your personality.
Yes.
So you could be either an auctioneer, or you can be a buy it now type person, or you could be a mystery, a quote unquote mystery person, which I would. There are my gripes with certain mystery. It's a gamble, right? You're gambling. I don't gamble. Well, let me say that I rarely gamble.
Yeah,
and I don't like to play around.
It's got to be a careful bet.
Yeah. So I'd rather be more consistent than I would be chancing it.
Same. Yeah, I don't think I'd be a mystery guy. It's auctioned or. Maybe here's what's in front of me.
You could try and do it every once in a while. That's fine. Like a special game show. If you've had the traction already and if you built that audience,
right?
But if you're trying to start out in mysteries, hell no. Don't do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, along the way, the one thing that you'll find is if your favorite people that you buy from, you buy from them often, they recognize your name. You're like, hey, Sparkling's back. Like me, I was Guitar Mike 42 before I changed to Pixels.
Right.
So people were like, oh, Guitar Mike's here. And then so because I would buy a lot of shit from them. And then at that point, I built a relationship to where like I can ask them questions and be like, hey, do you have any pointers for trying to do this stuff? And they'll be like, yeah, just DM me. And then they would give me like this whole entire like description. Like they're really helping. They're
cool.
really considerate of wanting to help me grow. And so that's kind of like the community aspect is like, that's cool about Whatnot. Like people are willing to help each other out. But like, yeah, with your side, I would probably advise just
get started.
There's that. Like, get started and then take notes and ideas from what other people are doing.
Yep.
As well, you're going to have to learn the shipping part. That's going to be interesting. So
that's going to be interesting.
This one shipper, I bought comics from, there are actually these boxes that you can buy that you can. It's specifically made for comics.
Yes.
So you could probably
it's like Diamond or it's like I forgot what it's called. It's,
it's really cool. Like when I opened it, I was like, oh shit, they make these things.
Yeah, it's fancy.
pretty awesome.
Yeah, I have done that. I have definitely. Thank you for reminding me of that. I've definitely looked it up. Someone asked in the middle of a stream, like, hey, I'm thinking about starting. Where can I buy it? And then people are like, you could just buy it in bulk on Amazon. You could get the board, bag and board, and the bag Gemini box. That's what they're called, Gemini, and you could just get it for pretty cheap on Amazon. So yeah, that's definitely what I'm looking at.
Okay,
definitely got to do that.
Yeah, that's good. But no, to touch on the what's that called? Your personality. Let's just say personality because I can't think of the specific word, but you're going to find what type of person people are going to gravitate towards on you, right? So like if you're a goofy guy or if you're a trustworthy guy, whenever you're like, so you got in my side, right? In my realm, you got people who are super technical that are really awesome. Like they're so technical to the point they know how to fix systems. They create they reshell their own stuff, and like they know to like the motherboard side to where like, oh, this might be the problem for these things, and this is how to look out for fakes and stuff like that. But then you got people like me who are more high level and just love the whole nature of things, right? Of gaming, and who are honest with their folks, right? And that's. You'll find your footing whenever you get into it. I can see you gravitating towards the technical side. So like if you, especially because you know a lot about comics and stuff like that. And so I think you'll find your footing pretty quickly. But when it comes to the one thing I can say as far as learning from not just selling games, but just as business as a whole, right? Is just be the best person you can be to treat your customers right? The people you mentioned earlier, people get frustrated. Yes, there are times, but you should never let your frustration leak out.
Yes, of course.
Keep it internal if you're ever frustrated.
I've seen that, yeah.
Because then that kills the vibe with customers. Like, oh man, this guy's some people might like it and they'd be like, hey, this guy's very expressive, but like they get the vibe whenever you're being serious.
Yes.
They're like if you there was this one guy that was like literally going through auctions because like so fast, and like he would take the games being like fucking just grabbing them off of the little stand and then swipping out from another one, and like it would go down the timer to 0 and he would like forcefully take it off and on.
I've noticed that there's this
like just frustration.
Yeah, there was a comic seller, he would put it up there and he would just put it like 5 seconds, okay, and then bid. Really, no one's doing it, and then you would just hear like, I'm breathing in. I'm like, okay, well now I really don't want to buy from you. I really don't care if you have the one comic I'm looking for.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be that, and I just want to. I don't want to panic. Is my thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the way I'm talking, and you listeners, you hear me. I'm not a guy to be upset. I don't want to panic, and then in that panic, I become someone I'm not. So that's why I really want to feel prepared. But
right. I mean,
I also don't want to not ever do it because I don't ever feel prepared. So I think you're right. Just go on there.
The reason why people are most of the time the reason why people are on there because they were looking for deals. Yeah. I mean, I think all of us can probably say that that's one of the things that we look for, but there are people who look for even more. Like you'll have people who want to lowball the shit out of you.
Yeah.
And fuck those people.
Yeah.
I'll say straight up. But then you got people who are like, hey, can you do this for me? Like, can you do like $5 off? Okay, that's fine, and whatever,
I can't blame you, and I'm trying to offload. Let's make a deal.
Yeah, but I forgot where I was going on with this.
No, I got you. It goes to demeanor, it goes to behavior.
Right. Yes. So the demeanor, right? So like just make sure you keep your composure. And then the one thing that I'm actually learning this myself is because I felt that frustration where I'm like, damn, nobody wants to fucking buy anything. Like,
Yeah.
But I don't say it.
Yeah.
It's just I'm rethinking, calculating in my head, like, what can I do to be more diverse?
Yeah.
But then you think about it this way. This is the one thing that I can definitely say that is true to nature is consistency.
Yeah.
And this is one of the main topics of this this subtopic of this topic.
Yes.
Of this topic.
Yeah.
But
We're talking about our ventures, people.
is consistency, and keep a consistent schedule. Do it as often as because in that way people can get to know you.
Yeah.
I mean, if you only do one show like a month, then how are people ever going to find out that you exist?
Right. They're not going to look for you if you're very sporadic.
Yeah, that's going to be like you showing up on the corner trying to sell lemonade every once in a while, and they'll be like, "Oh, hey, this guy's selling lemonade." I go,
Yes.
"Cool, right?"
Yes.
And nobody knows you. You want people to be like, "Oh yeah, sparkling, this guy, you need to go buy from this guy because he's awesome in this aspect in XYZ." So doing it either weekly, bi-weekly, I think that would probably be the best case. Like bi-weekly would be the pushing it the most.
Yeah.
And multiple times, obviously a week would be easy, but while you're doing your shows, and this is why I was saying, like, I'm dealing with this myself, is how do I handle whenever my traffic is just low? Like people are going to come in. Like I think of it in my head, like, okay, you're a storefront, right? So what do stores do most of the time? Like, yes, they can put all their advertisements out there. This is what you can do pre-show. Put all your advertisements out there. Make sure people are aware all your flyers are out there in the world and people can know when you're going to be on. But when you're in the show, it's just like you having a virtual store. I mean, that's what it is. Like, you just imagine people walking in and then coming out. Like, like me. Like, I go to my local game store. I don't necessarily sometimes buy something when I go in there. I just go and look around. I'm like, this looks cool. And I leave.
Yeah.
Like, just think of it in that perspective. And just all you have to do, if you can think in that perspective and just be like, I'm fine with,
That's healthy.
Yeah.
You may not make a sale, but
the one thing I can take away that I average every show, like I at least sell like 10 items. So regardless, that's like minimum. Like I've already learned, like, okay, let's see, that's the minimum that I sell, and it's always going to happen.
So do you now give yourself a goal like 10, or are you still like whatever happens, or is it a bit in the middle?
No. I mean, it's just whatever happens, because you can't force people to do things. So if you keep sure, you can keep a number in your head and be like, hey, if I make 10 today, I'll be happy.
Okay.
But
it is what it is.
There are going to be probably times, there's going to be a time eventually that people are not going to buy anything at all. And you're going to be like, well, what did I do wrong? It's not necessarily what you did wrong. It's just probably people weren't the right people. The right people were not in your show.
Yeah.
And so sometimes what happens is you might want to lower your prices, because people are not wanting to buy in a specific time. Because like this is what happens. Like you mentally want to make sales. So you will have to deal with, like, if people are coming in and not wanting to buy anything, that's going to get you to think, oh, should I lower my prices? Are they too high? And then if you lower your prices, they are fucking with you.
Yeah.
Not, you got to keep your stance. Like if you know the value of your stuff, then you keep that value.
Yeah.
And the price that you're setting at. Do not adapt to the people.
Right.
So like right now, just for example, I have a Diablo 2 Collector's Edition PC big box. So this big box is very limited out of, like, let's say 2,000. It's probably not even that number. It's just a number like that. It's obviously no longer produced. It was produced in the 90s or maybe like early 2000s, but it comes with like a D&D set. It's a very special, unique set. There is no codes. Everything's built on discs, right? That is going for like $400 to $500 now. I bought it for $100 recently. So I'm selling it on eBay, right? I'm selling it at $450. And then I get so many goddamn lowballers like trying to freaking like, oh, you can you do 98 or can you do $100? And I'm like, no, obviously you need to do your research, buddy.
Yeah.
And I tell them that, I'm like, hey, no lowballing, please. I'm obviously nice about it, but
right.
But I feel like people need to be aware when they're being lowballers.
Yeah.
And so that's something I'm dealing with. But
That's
then they're
crazy. So what do they say? Like, are they in any way apologetic? Like, hey man, there's a ding there. Hey man,
no,
I don't. They're just like lower.
Yeah,
to 98.
so one guy I denied the offer, and then he purposefully did $100. So I'm like, okay, this guy's being a dick. I'm like, yeah, no, fuck you. Like, yeah, don't, get the fuck out of here.
I've been guilty of that.
So, so yeah, I just do. I'm like denied. Yeah, get off my ass.
Oh my god.
But yeah, you just got people like that. You know, there are going to be people that are just going to want to make a try to get you to force down to a price that they want, but do not ever conform to that.
Just hold your ground.
Yeah. And so just keep your ground, be consistent, and it'll come. Like it comes with anything. So if you ever think about anything you've ever done and gotten good at, it could be video games, it could be, sports, obviously how did you get good at that sport? Consistency. So that is one thing that stays true. So that is, I would say, just keep your head strong on that. And I think you'll be in a good spot in about I was very spotty with mine. So if you're very consistent, like every biweekly or even every week or biweekly, and you keep doing it for like a whole year, you're gonna build up a following.
Fuck yeah!
And it'll come. Trust me.
Fuck yeah! So you literally just started with like 10 or so pieces, and then you just kept the camera there. I think that's what I'm gonna end up doing, just to be healthy. Just here's what I have, and then let's see if we can make a deal, and then. Probably not get so much into auctions. I probably wait until I.
Well, the only reason I did that is because so for viewers who didn't listen to the first podcast, I have over 900 plus games, and so like ranging from all types of systems, and so it's crazy.
Yeah.
So obviously when I started, I knew firsthand I didn't know how to price games. So I was still learning. I found out that price charting was a thing, and then also using eBay sold. I learned that a little bit later down the road.
eBay sold.
Yeah, so you go to eBay and you could tick a sold option where it shows you what people sold it for at that time.
Nice.
And so price charting is supposed to average out what eBay is projecting, right? But there are cases where it's not accurately doing it. So that's why you have to reflect between two. And then, so I didn't know how to do that, so I'm not going to lose money right off the bat because I had all these amazing games, in my library. I'm not going to freaking lose money on that.
Yeah.
So I started with 10 games that were like, all right, decent, like PS5 games, PS4 games, and then so that's where I started. And then I found out about the sourcing apps, and then I kind of started using that, and then appropriately putting in the right prices on there. And that's when I started opening up the door to my 900 plus games. And then eventually, people started coming in and be like, wow, you have a great collection. Like that's what I got all the time. Like I like your setup. You have a very clean setup. And I've gotten even famous people like Retro Rick. He's a very big influencer on YouTube, especially one that I follow. And he popped into my show and he was like, hey, and I was like, oh shit, like Retro Rick's in the house. I was like, how's it going? Yeah. And he was like, hey buddy, how's it going? I was like, oh, going good. And he was like, dude, you have a nice collection. I was like, oh, thanks, man. And so you get things that happen like that, and that builds your confidence because now people are giving you feedback saying like, oh, you're doing a good job.
Gotcha.
And so from there, you just build upon that, and then you're going to have ups and downs still. You're going to have your worst, your bad nights. You're going to have your good nights. But I can say now I'm on a good average of selling numbers that I'm trying to meet, but I don't try to force anybody to do it.
Absolutely. So. That's good. Well, this is healthy. This is good for me to know. This is good therapy. No, I do want to get out there. And like I've said before, it looks like a lot of fun. It, honest to God, looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it definitely is. Like once you start talking and people are giving you feedback, because you get different people's perspective. Like I have a consistent customer right now that I talk to about Metal Gear Solid. Mm-hmm. Like she actually told me like, because her name is Fox Alive.
Okay. Yeah.
So I didn't snap to think in my head. I was being like a little titty about it. And so whenever I asked her, I was like, so what's that Fox Alive? What does your name mean? And because she told me, she was like, she was a big Metal Gear Solid fan. She was like, no, that's the Cure, right? Or is it?
Yeah, there's Fox Die.
Fox Die.
That it could be another episode. But yeah, there's Fox Die. It's whoever has it, you're basically destined to die, but Fox Alive undoes that.
Right. So she told me that. I'm like, oh, okay. That's cool. I totally didn't snap to think about that. And then she's like, people like you're having that conversation, and then she's like, yeah, I'm a big fan. I'm like, you know what, I'm actually intrigued. Like I love the part where in Metal Gear Solid 1 you fight Revolver Ocelot and blah blah blah. You start having conversations, and then you're genuinely being like that with your customer, and then you build that connection. And now whenever she comes in, she's all like, hey, like what's up? And then you basically have like a online friend.
Absolutely.
So yeah, you'll find your footing whenever, like, say if you do Spawn comics or if you do Captain America comics and you're like, they talk about it and you're like, hey, did you ever read that comic issue 32? And you're like, oh yeah, that was super great. And they're like, yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
And so
you and I were actually in a stream at one point. The Spawn, this guy was selling Spawn, and I asked, like, do you have 224? And he's like, that's a good one. No, I don't have it. But like that as a seller, I'm now looking forward to that guy because now he knows, like, he now knows I'm interested in 224. But this is a guy who knows what he's selling.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I appreciate.
Yeah.
So when he says, like, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
No, I don't have it, but I know which one you're talking about. That's a good one. I'm like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then you pick up cues like that as well.
Yeah.
You know, because there are some bad sellers on there that are trying to make a quick buck, but then you got the real genuine characters on there.
Yeah.
So
we had a guy. When I was looking around, just kind of studying, if you will, this guy he put for sale this Doctor Doom comic, one of the new ones, and it's a new release, and it has some lyrics. It starts with like some lyrics from MF Doom, and the style of the mask eventually becomes like MF Doom, and it's I'm aware that is increasingly gaining value, and this was one of the ones where he put it for auction, and it really wasn't. People weren't really bidding on it, so I bid on it, and I got it. It's going for like $30-$40 right now. I got it for like 10, and he's like, you stole this. This is a good one. And if you know, like, what happened in this comic run, I'm like, yeah, like, yeah, I kind of feel bad too, but like, this is like, I like the fact that he knows what he's selling, and he's appreciative of the fact that I recognize that I know what he's selling. So that's also something that I'd like to, hopefully I can adapt pretty quickly. You know, I can carry that into my own shows.
Definitely. And by no means, like, I'm no expert in business. I mean, I'm obviously we're just starting off, but, you know, that's the whole reason for this podcast. You know, I mean, one of the main reasons for this podcast is to take y'all on our journey with whatever we're doing and our adventures. And so these are kind of the things that we're learning as we go, and we'd hope you take it as a valuable piece of information. So, like, if any of y'all decide to do the same, y'all can kind of adapt it in y'all's own in y'all's own way. But that's honestly what I would hope people will take away, is that we're trying to, you know, help, you know, anybody that's out there that would like, you know, that possibly has these questions and had not been able to get answers for.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair to say.
Yeah. And
I think it's good. I think it's an interesting dynamic we have. You got someone who's still climbing up the hill, but is way more up it compared to yours truly.
Yeah, and you may pass me, man. I mean, you may get to a point where you're like, hey, I'm on this, and I'm like, dude, what can I do to do better? You know, like, I mean, it's good. That's the cool part.
There's people who are going to be in your position who want to perfect their craft, and there's going to be people in my position who are like, yeah, this guy's taking way too fucking long, but I'm going to learn from his mistakes. It's so like there's something to be learned here.
Yeah, it's like virtually, if you're thinking about it, we're on a mountain. And then I'm grabbing your hand and be like, come on, bro, let's go. Yeah. Let's get up this mountain. And sooner or later, you might be like, oh, I can climb faster than you. And I'm like, oh, can you help me? And like, yeah, let's go together.
It's a give and take, man.
You know, it's like,
absolutely.
And that's like just the nature of things. And it's awesome. Like you get to learn from different perspectives, and
such is life.
Yep. Such as life.
Such is life.
But anyways, so I think this is probably a good time to close this off.
This is a good place to close it.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely touched up on a lot of topics today and kind of tangent into a lot of subtopics. But, you know, we hope this second episode was, you know, very informational for y'all, as well as enjoyable and entertaining. So we will be continuing to put these out, you know, bi-weekly. Yeah. That's our goal.
Yeah.
Consistency.
I just want to reiterate to those who are already following us, thank you so much. This is my fourth venture into a podcast, and it wasn't until like my third or fourth show where I made it to the amount of followers we have now, which is I did not think we would get it this much this quickly. So that means a lot, and that means that people recognize that we have something to offer them. So if you like this, help us out and give us a like, follow. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe. Comments and criticism. Like right now, I'm asking Mike for a lot of comments and criticism on my Whatnot Ventures. Give us comments and criticism on what we're doing here, and if you love what you see, share it.
Yeah, and we're on all the major platforms, I believe now. So like Apple Music, Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. That's our main source, and then we're going to be on
Google, Castbox. We're
Amazon.
We're almost everywhere.
Yeah, so pretty stoked about that. And I've always, I think I told you off show the last time is I've always wanted to have something on Spotify because I feel like that would be super awesome, just to put your information, you put your stuff out there.
Yeah.
And like the fact that we were able to do it like last time with the first episode, I was like, man, this is like a big moment.
Surreal, right?
Yeah, it's surreal. And so getting that feedback as well, like, with how many people are listening to it.
Yeah.
And, I had a buddy where he was like, yeah, no, I was playing Diablo and I was just having that in the background. And it's just like, just listening like that. It's pretty cool. I mean, like that's honestly what I do. I just put it on while I'm running, or if I'm just doing something like that distracts me from.
Absolutely, yeah.
Just put on some headphones and just listen to it.
Yeah, it's crazy telling coworkers, "Hey, I'm on Spotify," and they're like, "You're so full of shit." And I'm like, "Look up Digital Quest."
Yeah, bro, go.
Yeah, yeah. Don't look up all my other ventures, but look at Digital Quest, and they're like, "Holy shit!" There's just something so profound about saying, "Hey, I'm on Spotify." Or I'm on Apple Podcasts or Google. So.
Yeah. But we're not stopping here. So like we said, we're going to be hopefully meeting the goal of bi-weekly, and keeping that consistency going. But yeah, I mean, to close out, I mean, thank you all for joining, and we will see you on the next one.
Take care.